Hello, can you hear us now? Can you hear us now?
Let's see.
Hello.
Debbie, can you hear us now? And our friends who are online at the moment.
Can everybody hear us? If you can hear us, just do 111 on the comments. Yeah, you can hear us now. You can hear us now.
Fantastic. Thank God.
Oh my goodness.
And thank you so much for that very sharp feedback.
Thank you.
So we can start again. Good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome back
to Common Sense
for Relationships.
Babe,
yes. And you know, on this channel, we try to bring you valuable information that will help you make better decisions in your life and in your relationships as a whole. You know, because this thing is so important. This whole relationship matter. I mean, it touches on different aspects of life and it affects different aspects of life. If you think, oh, I can just keep my relationship in one place, it doesn't matter, you'll be shocked how it affects other aspects of life. So you really, really seriously need to get it right. Or at least be working continuously towards getting it right. So yes, that's what we talk about on this channel. Yes. So today our topic is how to
I'm stammering in order to answer this thing. Do you understand? Wait first. How to
have it.
The thing is, I want to show them the flyer. That's the topic. That's the topic.
How to have a perfect marriage. Yes. Let me see. What do you guys think about that? How to have a perfect marriage.
So what do you think? How many of you are there, you want to know how to have a perfect marriage? Type 222. You are among those that want to know how to have a perfect marriage. Type 222. Yes. Anyway, I was going to say that the other part, somebody said I've been thinking about it. The other part that I didn't add in the title is that the title was not complete. It wasn't really complete. It says how to have a perfect marriage if you believe in magic.
So when you say if you believe in magic, are you trying to say that because magic is make believe, isn't it? So are you trying to say that there's no perfect marriage? That's what we're going to find out today, Abby.
We're going to find out today if a perfect marriage exists. What is a perfect marriage? What is a perfect marriage? So if you have a definition for your perfect marriage, I need 3 people in there to give us a definition for perfect marriage.
You know what's happening in my head right now? I'm looking for, I wish I could just pull up a dictionary and find the word perfect, you know?
but you see,
and then we go from there.
Perfect and marriage in the same sentence, right? I think somebody in the audience needs to tell us what they think is perfect marriage, and if they have a perfect marriage, let them give us their definition, and then we'll take it from there and we'll run. So how to have a perfect marriage.
So if you believe in the fact that there's a perfect marriage, please feel free to share, and you can give us your definition of perfect marriage.
Yes,
and if you think that hey, this topic is flawed from the start, please say it and let's take it from there. Hi Joy Adelby, thank you so much for joining us. Anuluapo, Hannah, thank you so much for joining us. Really, this is great. And I see TJ Okabare.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that want to know how to have a perfect marriage. Yes. But before we even go in, you need to tell us what is your perfect marriage.
The definition.
What's your definition of perfect marriage?
And this is a good time to call your friends.
Yes.
Call your neighbors, to call your siblings,
call your enemies.
And as my husband will always say,
call your enemies.
Call them so that we can check this thing out.
and before they come, someone left this comment for us. He says, this is a great opportunity for singles to learn and add values that will lead them to a hitch-free marriage. It's important for us all. Oh, we have Benjamin Roberts. Hey, hello.
Hi, Benjamin.
Yes, Benjamin, you're just coming in. Please tell us. What's your definition of a perfect marriage?
Nora says definition loading. Gang. I hope the definition is coming from you.
yes. Because we really want to touch on this so that at the end of the day, there's no this thing. But while they are still bringing their definitions, right? Do we have a perfect marriage?
So when you asked this question earlier, or did you ask it as a question, or you said it as a comment?
Anyone you say is correct.
I started laughing. So if you know the meaning of my laughter, even though you didn't hear it, if you can tell us also.
In this question I asked, you are laughing. Do you have an answer or not? Because
see, you know how I look at this thing. Even though many people don't really like it when I put it that way, you know, people. The popular opinion, or what most people want to go with, is that marriage is this sweet, beautiful, mushy, all of that kind of stuff. And because of that, it's not like exact. It's not black and white. It's not objective. It's not. In fact, so when I start to talk about certain things that need to be like precursors, foundation and stuff, when you're talking about the whole marriage thing, people start to say stuff like, but isn't that contractual? Isn't that, aren't you making it feel like, just like any other agreement, like you're entering into a business agreement or a deal or something and so on. So when you look at it the way I look at it, if the terms and conditions are fulfilled, then the agreement is working. Perfection is left for you to decide, for each member of the union, right, to decide, is it perfect? But is it functional? For some people, functionality is perfection. So it depends on who you are. So by the time you see, you analyze your marriage or you analyze your relationship, you decide. So Mr. Bature, I will leave you to decide whether our marriage is perfect, and I will decide whether it is perfect.
Well, okay.
So your answer may actually be different from mine, and our answers may be the same, but the expression of that answer may be different. Yes, because what I call perfection may not necessarily be what you call perfection.
But we're in this marriage together. So is it possible for it to be a perfect marriage for one person and not to be a perfect marriage for the other person?
You answer now. No. But look at it. Assuming that you are somebody, what you want in your marriage is somebody who cooks, somebody who cleans, somebody who takes care of the children that we will have together. And I just have, I can check the boxes. I have a wife, I have children. My house is clean at every point. I have money and so on. This is my idea of a perfect marriage. And you use that to say your marriage is perfect. Meanwhile, the woman on the other side is feeling like the man doesn't give me any attention. He just supplies money and thinks that that's all. He doesn't help with taking care of the kids and so on. He has side chicks and all sorts, And because of that, she's not happy. She feels neglected. She doesn't feel fulfilled. She doesn't have time to explore some of her other ambitions and desires because she's so busy being a homemaker or a home. I think that homemaker is good enough. Will she say it's a perfect marriage? No, because that's not what she wanted. She on her side probably wanted to go out there and live her dreams, wanted to accomplish some things, wanted to check some boxes, but they haven't been checked because of the way the marriage has played out. But for the guy, it's perfect. For her, it's not perfect.
Okay,
so that's why I say it's possible for two people to have. It's possible for two people to have.
Okay, so if I were to go by your own by your narrative, by your narrative now, your narrative says let's get a definition for perfect, and one of the definitions we have here is that perfect means having all the required or desirable elements, qualities, or characteristics as good as it possibly can be.
As good as it possibly can be. That's perfection. And it has all the required
elements, qualities, or characteristics.
Yeah.
So if we now add that to marriage,
that marriage has all the required and all the good qualities, elements, and characteristics.
So is it possible?
Is it possible?
Is it possible to have this perfect marriage?
So if you want to follow that definition now, you have to look for what the qualities.
Okay, before I answer my question, because we must answer this question today. We must answer it.
But let's see. Timora says a perfect marriage is one in which almost you choke. No, I'm not serious.
Perfection is relative. Okay. Benjamin Robert says tolerance,
and honesty is an embodiment of a perfect marriage.
Tolerance and honesty.
So those are some of the elements, right?
Desirable qualities. Desirable qualities.
Thank you very much, Benjamin.
Thank you, Benjamin.
We're going to flesh this thing out for us. Timora says
relative, like cousins and so personally, I think perfection is a mirage, one that's never attainable by any human of any sort. Wow, this one gets me thinking, right? And I want to take this one and I want to merge it with the one the comment by Benjamin Roberts, where he said tolerance and honesty is an embodiment of a perfect marriage. Now, this is what I say. For Benjamin Roberts, sorry, if he has tolerance and honesty in his marriage, it's perfect.
So that's his definition.
So, in other words,
the part that he has shared.
Yes, the part that he has shared. In other words, from that definition, is it possible to have a perfect marriage? His answer would be yes, immediately. His answer would be yes. Do you understand? Because it has all the desirable qualities. So for me, if I were to answer this question to everybody to say, is it possible to have a perfect marriage? By everybody else's definition, the answer is no. By my own definition, the answer may be yes. Because if I am like Benjamin, and all I require is tolerance and honesty, and my wife tolerates me honestly. Honestly. Anyhow you put it.
Oh, that's another combination.
You understand?
Tolerance.
My marriage is perfect, and so Benjamin, thank you for giving that to us. You know that, and there are real issues that come in here. Now the issues also begin to come from the perspective of singles and from the perspective of the married. Now a married person will probably tell you that it's not possible to have a perfect marriage, especially when we define it by every other standard apart from us.
Let me tell you why I think that is often an issue, right? I think that by default, people tend to define perfection as lacking any flaw. You know, something that lacks any kind of flaw is absent, right? Any kind of blemish or, in quotes, imperfection, right? What are imperfections? Blemishes, things that you don't want to see. Anything that is like that, people don't want. Once it is present in your marriage or something, people just say it's not perfect. Example: if once in a while you get upset by your spouse, somebody says that means your marriage is not perfect, just because of that, you know. Or if every now and then people can't agree on something, you have varied opinions, your own is strong, mine is strong, and we can't seem to find a middle ground, you know, for a long time or for forever, somebody says that means that union is imperfect, you know, and stuff like that. So, or maybe once in a while somebody gets upset, someone gets unhappy, and someone says this marriage is not perfect, you know. So, but you know, that definition, the part of that definition that says as good as it could possibly be, that's the part that I like, because it tells you of the fact that there are certain limits that everyone has, right? And there are certain limits that every union has. There are certain limits that every agreement, for instance, has. Every contract has. I mean, even when you sign business contracts, right? This contractor is going to do this, the company is going to do this, and so on. You lay out a number of things, terms and conditions that you expect to be fulfilled on the side of both parties. And if those things are done, then you say, yes, this is a good agreement, this is a good contract, everything is fine, nobody needs to pull out because everything is going well. But for the things that are not defined, every now and then you may have some friction, some occurrences that you're not excited about. Even for the things that were described, sometimes the level of compliance may not be 100%, but you could live with it, you know, or you could walk around it, or you could find a compromise, or you could do something to say, okay, this happened once, let's try not to let it happen again. You know, these are just adjustments you make in a relationship, in an agreement, right? So that you can continue to work together. And as long as what this person wants and what the other person wants are met to a great extent, right? Especially the most important ones, that you took the time
And
that starts early.
Yes.
So it's really important to say that again. For you to have your perfect marriage, you have to start early to define what you are looking for.
Okay, good. So for the single people out there, we are saying that your perfect marriage is made up of certain qualities, and for you to find those qualities, or for you to come to a realization of those qualities, you must define them early.
Yes.
Okay. So those are 2 points that they can take down.
Yes. And then after defining it early, you need to now start paying attention, right? That in the process of coming to, in quote, make the agreement or become one with someone, in the process of trying to form a union with someone, you have communicated those expectations, right? It's just like when you're putting the contract in place. I mean, I wish that we could really be this real, you know, like people could actually do this when it comes to marriage. Because if you're doing a contract, you don't just say, oh yes, we are going to work well together. I feel that you are a good company. I've seen some of the things you've done. I feel you're a good company, and we will work together. Do you agree? Do you agree? Yes, you agree. We shake hands on it, and then we have a business deal. No, we don't do that.
No, I don't.
We actually sit down and write it out. What is the service you are going to provide? What are the services? Is it just services? Is it equipment? Is it material? Is it what? You list out everything. Okay, for each of these things, how much will it cost? You even negotiate down to the last details of how much will this service cost. And then you say, okay, is this something I'm going to do for you just once? And you say, well, this one, maybe you need to do it 12 times, or once every month. Okay, so if it's 12, maybe I can give you a bit of a discount. You discuss every detail. Okay, while you are working for me, how will you conduct yourself when you are in my house? Or when you are in my facility? And you get down to the details of what you will wear, when you mobilize. You tell me if you want me to mobilize, you need to give me 2 days notice, or 2 weeks notice, or 1 month notice. Everything is laid out. And the people who administer that contract make sure they check and they comply with all of these things. So if I now wake up one day and tell you I want you to come now and do something, you can tell me, hey, the agreement says 2 weeks or 1 month notice. So I can't make it at the time you want me to be there. And there'll be nothing, I don't have a right to be angry in that case, because you already told me. So, but when it comes to marriage, we just say, oh, I love you. I feel oh, in fact, yeah, take home to mama. And so on and so forth, and then we just go get some people to do certain things, tie the knot, have a big wedding. Woo! The wedding was fantastic. You see all the people that attended. It was on this magazine, it was on that other platform. Did you see the wedding, pre-wedding photo shoot? We get all excited about the wedding and fail to pay attention. Even the wedding itself, do you see the level of detail that goes into planning the wedding?
So if we take that level of details in planning the wedding, the question we are asking now,
wedding planner.
Yeah, but who is the marriage planner? The wedding is the one that we show to everyone.
Yes.
So the wedding is what we show to everybody. The marriage is what we can't talk about. And that's why we are saying, is it possible to have the perfect marriage? We want to talk about it. We are talking about it, right?
Yes.
So, but for that to happen, for you to have it,
yes,
these details,
yes,
you must plan them to perfection.
So you have to outline it to a great extent, and then you have to share it. You have to discuss it with the person. I know that when we go to the actual marriage ceremony, they don't give you an entire page of everything that you have decided, agreed on, in writing for you to read it out. You just have like something generic to read out. But with the person you are going to spend the rest of your life with, you actually need to sit down and say, this is what I expect, or this is what I hope for, this is what I would like, this is what, just actually have that very practical discussion. Find out, you are saying you want children. Does the other person want children? You say, oh, in fact, my mother's house was full. I want my house to be full. Does this person want his own house to be full or her own house to be full? Do you understand? Look to the details. Where do you want to live? Where do you want to work? What kind of work do you want to do? Do you want to be somebody who is all over the place, traveling, touching lives all over, having an impact? And then meanwhile, this other person is expecting, I just want to have a cozy home where I come back every day and see my husband or see my wife. Meanwhile, you are planning not to be at home most of the time because of your kind of career. I mean, discuss all of these details so that you know what you're getting into. So that by the time you people have ironed out all the issues, right, you're happy with all the things I've said I want, and I am happy with all the things you have said you want. We've compared notes and it looks like, okay, yes, this can work. Then we go ahead and get married. And you do what you said you do. Now that's the other part. Because if you have gotten all of this in the beginning, right, then you're laying a good foundation. But by the time you now get into the marriage, it is expected, required that both people stay true to what they said they would do.
Okay, so let me stop you there. So you see, when you said when they get into the marriage, you said something about doing all the things you said you will do. Now, so when we say I do, people don't know why they use those two words in marriage. So when you say I do, you need to know exactly what you have done. Do you understand? Do you understand? When you say I do, you need to know exactly what you have done. So it is that whatever you said you were going to do, when you now get into the marriage, you have to do them.
Yes.
There are a lot of things to do. Kingsley said, in conceptualizing perfection in marriage, given the definition by Pastor Kingsley, where's the place of character? That ties in with what we're saying right now. Because it's character that makes you say, whatever I said I was going to do,
that's what I would
do. So by the time we have looked at the details before we get there, we now have to say, they have to determine to do all the things we said we're going to do. Is it going to be easy? No, not by any chance.
You say, I will love you. I will cling to only you.
Hey! Only you.
And only you. And at that
forsaking all others.
And at that time that you said it, maybe this was the only lady that even managed to look in your direction. So it was easy for you to say, I will cling to only you.
But by the time
now you are blown.
You don't hammer.
You hammered.
There's side chick.
There's money flowing.
There's side chick and extra chick.
And you now have the capacity to have others.
Will you still cling?
So it is.
Will you still cling to the one when you have the capacity for more?
Exactly. That's the question. So it is character that makes you say, I made a commitment to be true to this person,
Yeah.
and I'm going to stay true to them, in spite of the fact that I can afford to get number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. It's character that makes you stay true to the commitment you made to the person.
So, but what I'm seeing here is that, you know, from the beginning, when you say how to have a perfect marriage, the obvious answer looks like, no, it's not possible. No, you can't have a perfect. But from the conversations that we are having now, it's looking like perfection is possible to the people that are in it. So it means that perfection is localized.
I'm waiting to hear how this thing is going to land.
Perfection is a localized concept. It is local to the people within the marriage.
Yes.
So that if these two people say, these are the terms that we have put together, and we both agree on it, and we are working towards it. Even the things that are not working by other people's standards, for us,
it's working.
It's working.
So people are perfect at that time.
At that point.
Which also goes to say that the perfection is very transient, as in it's
no, they underline the word. You say the perfection is very transient.
As in it changes, right? As in from time to time. Because you may be in a season where everybody's doing what they said they were going to do, and the conditions and factors of life are in your favor, and all is well. Right? So for that period, it's like, yay, this is perfect. And then all of a sudden, something happens and things change, and one person is completely unhappy about the state of affairs of the marriage at that point. If you ask that person at that point, do you have a perfect marriage? Of course, the answer is no. No, I don't have a perfect marriage. My husband is acting up. This is this, that is that, this happened, that didn't happen. And at that time, for them, it's not perfect. So we have said two things. One, that perfection can be localized, but you have also said that perfection is transient. So you know what that goes to say? It goes to say that if you are currently in a marriage and you're feeling like, hey, I'm having such a difficult time in this marriage, things are terrible, my marriage is a mess, right? If you have two people who are willing to go back to the drawing board, right, and revisit what their commitments to each other were, they can actually work their way back to a place of perfection. And assuming they hadn't even defined anything in the beginning, assuming they were just following the feeling, and the emotions, and they just did what was expected of them at that age, and they got married, and now they're in a place where they're not excited about what's going on, they can actually sit down now and say, we want going forward to have a perfect marriage to the extent possible, and then sit down and say, what is perfection for you? What is perfection for me? How can I meet you? How can you meet me? Where in the different places where we are, and then they start working together to achieve perfection in their marriage. So you're not bringing it to those that are married. So for someone that is married, it's not hopeless. It's not hopeless. Not too late. So perfection. Your perfect marriage cannot be defined by another person's standards. It's the other person inside your marriage. It's the two of you now. The person is not wearing your shoes. The person is not living in your house with you. Do you understand? So they can't be the one defining perfection. But on the let's call it like the overarching. Yes, you talked about the requirements when you were defining perfection. Yes. There are basic requirements that should be in a marriage relationship, right? Example, each person should be getting better. There should be care, there should be nurture, right? There should be growth in that relationship. People should know that they have someone looking out for them and they're not alone. There should be the sense of community and so on. So those things are like basic in a marriage. So those also add to the terms when you're looking at what is perfection for me in my marriage. And really, if you look at it at the core, each person will tell you, yes, I want to be cared for. I want to know that when I'm sleeping, I'm safe. My husband or my wife is not going to come and take me out.
so from what you're saying now, it means that those people that at the beginning of the program said they wanted a perfect marriage, we actually cannot tell them it's a dream. We actually, so from what we have said so far, can we actually say that to them that, hey, it's possible, right?
Yeah.
We can actually tell them it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. It requires work. It's possible, but it doesn't fall from the sky without any effort on your part. I see a comment from Ken Jones. He says, so impactful. Thank you so much, Ken, for that comment. Yes, that's what we try to do. Talk about these things that will impact everybody's life. I mean, we need to be getting better.
Someone said, Kingsley says, do people really talk this deep these days? Do people generally talk to each other this detailed?
It's a question.
So it's a good question. It's a good question. Do people generally talk this deep these days?
And it's a question that some of the people should tell us by themselves. If you're here and you're single, please feel free to share with us. Do you have this level of detail when you're talking to somebody that you are going out with, you plan to get married to someday? Do you get down to this level of? And
if you're married, tell us.
Did you
and do you still? Because like you said, if you say perfection is transient, it means that it's an ongoing concept that you continue to develop. Yes. So per time, it's possible to attain perfection per time. Because the truth is, in every marriage, there's a season where you said, man, this is the life, this is the dream, this is what I always dreamed about, you know. And
then there's sometimes
when you wake up and it's not the dream.
When you have to call the person and say, wait.
This was not. This was not.
We need to have a discussion. This new development, I'm not, you know.
And in my family, I know when that time is coming. When they call you Mr. Bature, come. As when they call you by your last name. I don't know how it is in your own side, but when they call you by your last name in this family, you know that there's a discussion coming up. And usually they come with a lot of detail. It comes with a lot of detail. So, but it's interesting because those details are. I don't think marriages were designed to be devoid of, for lack of a better word, conflict or disagreement. But it is that in the midst of the disagreement, we find a pathway in which the two can work together because they agree.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And that's something that is so beautiful when you achieve it. You know, on each occasion where you are able to achieve that alignment, it's just really beautiful. And you will feel so much better, you know, going forward with that alignment than when you feel like one person had the upper hand, or one person, maybe because they are the breadwinner, is the one who calls the shots and everybody else has to follow without objection and so on. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It is beautiful when you have that alignment. Okay, so let's see, what do we have here? Okay, so today we seem to have a rather quiet audience. How come nobody saying anything? Are we talking too much? Do we need to keep quiet?
Okay. Let's
maybe we're not giving room for people to say something. Okay. So guys, please, we want to hear from you.
We want to hear from you.
What do you think about this?
What do you think about all that we've said so far? What do you think about all that we've said so far? Because, you know, it's something that we want to really begin to shift. We want to begin to confront the issues that no one is talking about, especially in marriage, especially in the issues that people are.
Anthony says marriage can't be perfect, so to speak, because both marriage mates are all imperfect. Exactly. So they both must build each other to be perfect the way they want it.
So that is almost like an oxymoron. But what he has said is exactly the point we are making. The reason why, if you ask that question, when I put up that post on my status, some people wanted to throw me stones. I had to put in the post the caption, please don't throw stones yet. Now, you want to throw stones because they're assuming that you are saying I have a perfect marriage, meaning that nothing is going wrong in my marriage. But from what Anthony has said, marriage can't be perfect, so to speak. The reason he put that there is that marriage cannot be perfect based on the given definition of perfection.
Yeah.
But when you look into the intrinsic definition of perfection, as good as it possibly can be.
Yes, as good as it possibly can be.
That's when you now get to the other part of his definition, which says, so the both must build each other to be perfect the way they want it.
Exactly. And that's that part where you're defining the details and you're continuing to revisit it and discuss.
Yes.
And Anthony, really, that part you brought is something we always say.
Yeah.
You have two imperfect people coming to form a union.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
So when you look at that and you look at perfection as we often define it, where everything is flawless, there's nothing wrong, we have to tell people that definition of perfection, where there's nothing wrong, no issue, no trouble, it will be rosy all the time.
It's a dream.
That one is actually it's magic.
It's magic. That one, you need magic. And that one, if you have anybody that has that one, that definition, no problem, no nothing. Please help me wake the person up.
But in reality, there will be issues, and the fact is, the issues that come may not necessarily be from within. Sometimes the issues are from without, you know, because you say, my husband and I, we have the same temperament. We understand each other completely. We have the same point of view on everything. We never argue. We never And for that, it looks like everything is fine inside. And then once in a while, life from outside throws you something. Example, somebody's salary disappears. Or example, there's a loss in the family and someone goes through an emotional part that is very difficult, or is slipping into depression because of something that happened from the outside. Those things will affect the marriage, right? So when you look at perfection as is often defined, where it's absolutely flawless, that definition, that one is impossible to achieve. But when you look at the one that says as good as it can be, right? When you look at the one that says that the things that are required are present, right? And you have a case where people have actually sat down to define what is required for each of them and are continuously working towards making sure they bring that to the table. Yeah. Then you can get to the point where you say, hey, at this time in my life, at this moment in time, or at this point in time, my marriage is perfect. And you know, we said it can vary from what one spouse thinks to the other. Exactly. Because they have different things that they have defined that they want. If one person is getting everything they want, they can say it's perfect. Yeah. The other person is not getting it, they will not agree with that conclusion. So we need other people to tell us. Yes. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Anthony. Other people should tell us. Those that are on set with us, you can tell us other things that you know, your perspective, your this thing for the young people, for the single people. Perfection is not so far away, right? It is perfection. Really is defined by you. You define your perfect. Yeah. Because you are not in marriage with social media. Because some people's definition of a perfect marriage is the shots. You know, the shots. Or those shots. And see that's not perfect. Hi, Franca. Hi, Franca. Good evening, Franca. It's so great to have you here, Franca. You know Franca now? From achievement. Back in the days. Yes, Franca. I was Franca's chief bridesmaid. I traveled to Jos to do that. Yeah. Franca said talking is very important. Else,
it might lead to pent up frustration.
Exactly.
Talk and delete / forget is what we do. Perfect is what we consider acceptable to each other.
Exactly.
You know, it's important to talk. When she says talk and delete, this is how I hear it. Sometimes, and I have heard this from other guys, when we get into a forum with guys, and guys says, the reason some guys, and we had an episode on it sometime, you can check this channel, you can check our channel, we had an episode on it, why guys don't talk. They said the reason they talk is that sometimes they talk, and the women, why guys don't talk? The reason they don't talk is because sometimes when they talk, the women gather what they say as ammunition, so that the next time there's a problem, they are shooting your own bullets at you, so there's nothing you can do. So when you say talk and delete, what I hear is that let's talk about it. If we have dealt with the issue, we forget it, we move on. It's not like we now keep using that same issue to as ammunition to fire you. Franca, thank you very much. Talking is important. Yeah. Talking is important. Otherwise, pent up frustration, pent up frustration happens because you feel caged. Yeah. And nobody needs to be in a marriage where they feel caged.
And I don't want to let things eat you up from inside.
From inside.
Yeah. And the sooner you talk about it, the better.
The better.
Because at least that time you don't have anything pent up. So you can say, hey, I noticed this, I noticed that, I don't really like it, and it's just like an almost cordial discussion. But if you allow it to be pent up, it's going to become, I don't like this thing you're always doing. The other time you do this, the other time you do that. Do you remember it? And then somebody just now starts and pouring it out. And at that point, it's like,
let me say the truth, right? Even the talking is not easy. It's not easy. Because sometimes you want to talk, and I confess, sometimes I'm in business mode or something.
Something is football, and you can continue saying that.
It's me that's talking my talk now.
It's not business, it's football. But continue.
But it's me that's talking my talk now.
It's okay. Continue.
Okay. You guys don't worry. Look here. Don't look that side. Look here. Okay. So what I was saying is that sometimes, right? Sometimes. The talking is not even easy because either one person, we are not calling person's name, is really serious, and if you are trying to talk at that time, the person is processing. I don't need to say he, but let's not say he. Let's say the person is processing a lot of things. We also have to find the right time to talk. No, you see, that's the thing about marriage. Perfection is actually another word for maturity. Because what it requires of you is that you actually know how to manage the marriage. So each person has to become adept at managing the other person.
Exactly. So I know that I should not even bother to discuss anything serious with you when you are watching football.
Especially when Arsenal is playing.
Yes. Should I say especially when Arsenal is losing? Because it was more like...
No. You guys are certain. And the problem is Arsenal loses a lot. That's the problem.
So that's to say, just know when you shouldn't approach for any serious discussion, In fact, at such times, if you're approaching, it is for sympathy. It's to say, yeah, again.
Don't be doing that.
Choma.
You see how they just weak me now. I had very strong points when you now brought up Arsenal. Don't be doing like this. We have to talk seriously about perfect marriage. There's nothing perfect about Arsenal.
Sorry, eh?
Yes.
Choma. Hi, Choma. I'm so happy you're here.
Choma in member.
We're in secondary school together.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hi Choma. It says talking is great, but effective communication is superb. And the biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has occurred. And this is one of the this is strong. This is one of the reasons why we said this is one of the reasons why we said somewhere earlier in the show, if you're just joining us, you can still scroll back and see somewhere earlier in the show we said you actually have to go to the details. You know, and someone asked the question, do people actually talk this deep? This deep? For effective communication to happen, you need to be sure that when you are saying honey, the person is actually hearing honey, not monkey. Because when you say honey and the person hears monkey, that's what is called miscommunication. Do you understand? So that the illusion that it has happened cannot be there. If it is clearly, as in, communication needs to be clearly done. Needs to have happened.
And the issue is sometimes people say something and in their mind they have communicated, but you have not communicated if the person that you are saying whatever to has not, number one, heard you, number two, understood.
Oh, yes.
Because sometimes, I mean, some people listen, yes, I've heard, but they haven't even processed it. That's why the timing is important, because you may go and talk to someone at the point where they say they have heard, but they're so distracted, they are not processing it. But they need to actually process it and feed you back information or some kind of confirmation that they have understood. And if it is the kind of communication where a change is required, you need to actually discuss it to the point where you actually know this is the change that is required. This is the change we need to make. What are the steps we are going to take? How are we going to go about it? Yes. So, Choma, thank you so much for bringing that. Communication is important. Don't assume that it has happened just because you spoke.
Don't assume it has happened
just
because
that you listen to you listen when the other person is speaking. Make sure that they are hearing you and processing what you're saying. Try to have the right conditions, the right environment when that communication is happening. If it is something really critical, please don't discuss it when some people are feeling sleepy. Because you will just pour out your heart, and the next morning you find that
you will remember what you said.
You didn't hear anything. Maybe you poured out your heart.
In fact, listen, we say, especially when they are playing FIFA. That's a very good point too, because sometimes playing FIFA is as good as the match happening live, because all the emotions are there. All the emotions are there.
After game, right?
Yes, now.
I understand.
So you know, it's important. Now, all these things that we're bringing out, we talk about communication, we talk about character, we talk about have you seen the C's? Communication, character, commitment, you know, consistency. My goodness, I could go on. Continuous improvement. You know, convictions. you know, I can go on. But all these things are things that make part of the discussion, that make part
help you go towards achieving.
That go towards achieving your definition of perfection. Because I keep saying it, I'm not saying perfect. You're perfect.
Yes, and this is why to a great extent, when singles, please, when you're thinking about getting married, don't go and look for your pastor to tell you whether the guy is the correct guy. It's not your pastor that's going to get married to that person.
See, listen. And this one I just raised now is going to touch somewhere inside. Because there's somewhere inside that place is going to touch. Listen, let me tell you guys. Let me look you in the eyes, and tell you guys, your pastor is a human being. Hey, your pastor is a human being. Your pastor, your mentor,
your senior friend,
your senior friends, they are human beings. And please, the responsibility of your future, you cannot hang it on another man.
Yes.
No matter how spiritual or how societally elevated. No, this is touching me.
You're speaking English.
It's touching me. You understand? I'm not saying you should not respect their opinion. I'm not saying you should not
to their counsel. Consider it.
Yes, consider it.
But the decision is yours.
The decision is yours. You can't come back and now say, but my pastor told me that he was the one. He was the one for you at that time.
No, you say it like this. Pastor, the man you told me to marry. Like Adam in
it was the woman you gave me. Do you understand? Let's be real. Let's be real. Your pastors, your mentors, they are important people in your lives. But see, the success of your destiny, you cannot hang it on another man. Hinge it upon God, upon your convictions of God. Which means for you to have a conviction, it means that you must have drilled down to the details of your destiny. What is it that you really want to see? What is it that you really want to have? What is it that you really want to experience? Then when you have all those things detailed out, then you can begin to look at all the people that are coming around the edges of your life to find out, hey, does this one fit this?
The edges. I like the way you put it. Because it makes it seem like they're at the edges. Yes, then when you have screened,
then you cannot draw somebody in.
Approach the bench.
Yes, exactly. Then you cannot draw somebody in. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because this one also comes to the point where somebody says, for you to have a perfect marriage, people must be praying together every time. But the people should not annoy me. They should not annoy me. Prayer is also very important. But what does prayer mean? Prayer is you talking to God. But some of us will pick up the phone, finish talking to God, put it down.
Hang up.
God wants to talk to us back. We didn't hear because we have hung up, and then we go up and say, yes, I have prayed. Then I can now go and do anything I want to do. And you will not do the things that you said you were going to do to keep your marriage. And things are scattering. And you say, but I prayed. I've been praying. Or somebody just has a bad character and is not willing to fix the character, and he says, but I'm praying. You know, you can pray intensely with terrible character, but you are praying seriously, but you have a bad character. You are cantankerous.
Or you decide to marry the person and trust that as you are praying,
you'll be changing. It will shock you, as in it will choke. Do you understand? I'm getting a bit passionate about this, but
yes, I can.
But the truth is, people need to even help their pastors, because their pastors, it's not only you that are pastoring, you know. They have a call from God, but God didn't say you should kill them because they have a call from God. So don't carry that weight, you know. Don't carry that weight and put on someone that has a call that he's supposed to be guiding and directing, and you say no, he has to be the one to choose from you. You that is praying to your God. So God should be able to tell you. If he doesn't tell you with a burning bush, at least he should tell you with some common sense. Because somebody said
he uses different ways.
Yes, because somebody said God gave us brain sometimes so that we'll give him rest.
So Majora says the goal truly should be progress, not perfection. Perfection will be attained when we get to heaven. Yes, thank you. So that's another way to striving to get to.
Yeah, but where me and Choma will still disagree a little bit is on the definition. But I hear her. But if she goes with that definition we gave at the beginning, which was a dictionary definition, we said as good as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
Because even on earth here, there's that scripture that says that he that does not have this thing, that is able to tame his tongue, is a perfect man. On this earth, that's able to tame his tongue is a perfect man. But like we said, we have given different definitions for perfection, and that perfect in that place was the word mature, which is, I like the way I called it, Bobby. I'm
This part of the word is mature.
It's mature.
It's not this one. It's mature. You're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
But you get my point. Right?
I get your point.
Which is the fact that, and which is why I say we disagree small, we agree small, because it ties in with the same word, progress.
Yes.
You understand? So
yes.
it's all about
progress, where you're sitting down progress. And looking again.
You are looking exactly. It's like continuous improvement. Exactly. Yeah.
Something telling us it's almost time to go.
Yeah, Choma laugh out loud at praying intensely with bad character. Yes. Oh, she said you guys are such a love.
Thank you, Chioma.
No, thank you, Chioma. But any closing thoughts? Any closing thoughts?
I continue to encourage the singles. Please don't take this whole marriage thing for granted. Don't take it like something that you play with and then be careless about it. Please do your due diligence and make sure you communicate and get down to the details before you sign up for anything with anybody. It's a long-term project. And even if you decide to cut it short and jump out, like by having a divorce, the implications and the impact on your life and the consequences that come with that, too much trouble you don't need. It would be better you don't go down that path, okay? So now for the people who are married, if you're going through a rough patch, in fact, some people say this rough patch has turned to a constant, is lasting too long. Revisit the drawing board. Where did we miss? Where did we go off course? What do we need to adjust? What do we need to do? Talk and agree and align on how you go forward and continue to work towards it. And in that way, by the grace of God, the perfection as you define it will be achieved. Those are the final words. Those
are good thoughts. Those are good words. Okay, so for me, how would I close this? I would close it this way. For both the singles and for both the married, your marriage can be as perfect as you want it to be. It can be as perfect as you want it to be. But both of you, the two of you in the marriage, need to put in the work to get it as good as possible, as it possibly can be. Perfection, it's not a product of what you see on social media. It's not about the fine pictures. It's not about the makeup and cover. It's not about covering up all the things that could go wrong, right? But it's so much about what the work both of you are putting in to get it to the place it needs to be. Continuous improvement, localized concept, transient concept of perfection. We've talked about all of those.
And what to do to bring yourself right back.
What to do to bring yourself right back. If for any reason that you are in a place in your marriage where things are tumultuous or turbulent, it's time to, like you said, go back to the drawing board. If you guys can sit down and talk yourself through it, anything is possible, because marriage is such a beautiful thing. My wife said at the beginning that something good about marriage is that both of you are getting progressively better. And the truth is, I looked at my picture some 10 years ago, and I looked at my picture now. I think now is better. Okay, so marriage is
that's a wrap for today, and it's a good time to ask everyone, please, next week, invite your friends, invite other people,
invite someone.
Remind them, prompt them.
Take the link from here, put it on your WhatsApp, put it on your page,
and if you're scoping somebody, it's a good time to tell the person
if you're scoping somebody,
let them come. Maybe when they're dropping some comments, you say, hey, so this is how this guy is. So thank you for joining us, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so.
And just before you go, there's that interesting book written by my wife called Husband Material. The link is also in the description here. Please get that book. You can get it. There are two books. You can get them for the price of one. It's not. Is the price of the book is the cost of small chops. But by the time you finish consuming the book, you elongate you sustain the elongativity of your married life. I don't know how that thing is coming out, but I come out. Well, I'm just saying.
I'm not really sure.
Well, I'm just saying. You just go and buy the book. It will help you. Husband Material.
So the link
will be in the description at the end of this video.
So guys, remember.
Please invite your friends, share, and remember.
Common sense
is not so common.
Thanks so much. Thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for coming tonight.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.